everybody, and welcome back to the third in our series of tutorials on how to use Call API. Now what I'm going to show you in this session is how to keep your API key secret or hidden from prying eyes. So what is an API key? Okay, so as we looked at our population category last session, one of the things it asks for is an API key. Now all that is like an authorization key. It's just so these people at like Open Data Soft or whoever it is knows who's using their services and for how long and things like that. It's just to kind of like stop abuse really and overuse. Now the only problem is that if I put this in my AML file, anybody can see it. It's obviously a made up one. But if like even doing like videos like this, people can see this or you're sharing your screen, you don't particularly want them to see this API key. So how can we hide it? Okay, well one thing we can do is to make this a bot property. So if we go into properties, what we could do is create something like this, population API key, and then whatever it is. Yeah, so just like your other, you probably have more in than this. This is just a demo bot, but just add like population or whatever API key, whatever you want to call it, and then what you can say in here instead of putting that in there, population API key. Yeah, and now if you're sharing your screen or your AML file, they can't actually see what's in there, so they can't abuse your API key or run up any bills on your behalf. Okay, now that's one way to do it. However, there is a much more secure way, and so let's take a look at that now. What we can do in Pandorabots is if you go to your deploy panel, this is only available again, for Call API users, so it's a pro and developer plans. Go into deploy. Save that. So go to deploy. What we have at the moment is at the bottom, external services and APIs. Okay, so what we can do is if we click on create new service, it can say, right, we can hide all our stuff in here, API key. So this one's going to be like a population service, we'll say. Right now, there's all different things you can do like get and post. Some APIs like this post. Most of them are like this get, but you can also do other things as well. So leave it as get. Right, what URL are we wanting to use? Okay, so this is where the API goes to. So in our case, it's that lot. Now there's different authentication methods. You can either have like no authentication. That's like the maths one where it doesn't particularly need an API key. Most of the time there's like basic as well, like with the user one. However, most of them will just use this secret key. So we need to give our secret key a name. So we'll call it, I don't know, API key. And then we put in the value of it here. Yeah, now you can have a quick look at it there if you want to, but that goes in there. Now, do you see what it's done here? It's created a secret name, which is population secret API key. Now where's it got that name from? It's because we called it population. It's a secret, we don't want anyone to look at it. API key is just what we've posted in there. So let's do create service. Okay, I was saving that. Now if I go back into my code, what I can do is instead of having this bot property, I can now put this secret name, population API key. Yeah, so let's see if that works. Population Canada. With a bit of luck, there we go. So that's worked. So how can we see what the secret API key is? If we go into system properties, yeah, all we see now is just this that we've created in here. That secret API key has gone onto the Pandorabots server. You can actually see that, yeah, using his bot properties. So if you need to pass your AML files on to anybody, they'll have to use their own key. Okay, so how can we see what our key is in case we need to change it? no problem. Just go back into deploy. There we go. This is what we've created so far, so we can update it. Yeah, update to whatever we need. Now, one cool thing we can do is if we go back into edit, we've got an API builder. So let's go into there. Okay, so the only API key we've got set up at the moment is this one that we've just set up to population. So what we can do is click on this build request. Yeah. Now what we can do here is we can actually create like a call API for us without having to know everything. So at the moment it goes out to here. I think one of the things it wanted to know was Q, I think it was. Let's just say, I don't know, just hard code it for the moment. And then click on test call. Now what that's going to do, data set, right. So what we need to do is just copy that. Right, so data set is this thing. Let's go back in. Q. And I think it was data set. Okay, we'll test that. There we go. And there's all our response. So it kind of does it for us. Yeah. So again, what we can do is we don't need all that. We just want to see the value, don't we? So do is add manual path. Yeah, and you can put your name of your JSON path in there, you know, like we found earlier on the other exercises. So you can just do that and find what you need to do. Click on build AML and it does it for you. Yeah, you can then save it along to a file if you want to, or you can just examine it. So it's hard coded what we've got in there. Let's got our secret in there as well, and we can kind of do it that way. So that's really useful if you want to do it that way. If you're ever not sure what these like call APIs are, it can do it that way for you instead. What this is useful for is as well is on this like get, post, get, put, delete. Some of them require post, but most of them require get, and so there's just another parameter there you can put in method get and then whatever. So let's try just making an actual one with weather. So let's go back to our code editor. What we're trying to do now is to try and replicate this in our API builder. Okay, so we're looking for, this is the URL. If you don't put a method in, it will default to get. Oops. So let's try that. Yeah, it will default to that. So you don't need to put that in unless you're putting post in, and then you do need to put that. But yeah, method get, and then query is the city we're creating, the weather, app ID. We need to set this up, and then just to filter it out there. Okay, so let's try that with our API builder. So the first thing we need to do is to build the API ID. Okay, so if we come to our deploy page, what we're going to do is just create a new service. Let's call this one weather. It's a get, so we don't need that. Now we just need to put in the URL, which is that. This uses a single key. Now we need it was after the app ID. So we can call it again anything we want. So let's call it API key. And we've put our value in there. Okay, so we've now got this secret name, secret weather. Okay, so let's create that service. Okay, what we can do now is we can go to our deploy page, population, and we've got weather. So let's create we're going to API builder. Okay, so let's build one based on weather. We'll build a request. Okay, so let's call it something like weather. Okay, so it tells us where it's going to go, what the API key is. So let's put in the parameters. So the parameter it was after really was one called Q. And we'll put in, let's try London. Okay, we'll test that. There we go. So this is all the weather data for London. Now we only want to see this description. So what we need to put in is to put in a path. Okay, so let's call it description. Now we need to find it. Now unfortunately we don't have the ability to put this into our JSON path from this screen. So what we can do is we can put it in here as we did before. Find the description and we see it's called that. So let's copy that and we can put that in this path part here. Now just like before, we need to put in JSON and then path, and then we need to put in what we just copied away from that JSON Pathfinder. So we've finished with path. Now we need to tell it, okay, so that's the path, but whereabouts are we looking at it from? There we go. And we'll just close it off with another JSON path. There we go. So you see, look, what it managed to do is found scattered clouds in our path, and let's put it in there for us. You see, yeah, scattered clouds. Okay, so let's build the YAML. Yeah, so let's put all that in there. Build that for us. Now what we can do is we can save this away to a file. I don't know if you can see this on here, so I'll say, so let's save it to test call API, save that request, and it'll save that YAML for us. So now if we go back into our bot, we have hopefully got one called test call API. I'll ignore that one, and see, yeah, there's our weather one, you see. Now what we can do, we can amend that, so we can just do it in there. You know, we've got that get, so rather than in there, London, we can put in star, yeah, and just amend it. So it's just like a template. One thing the template doesn't do is just on the JSON paths, you still need to put in the path manually. So on this one, it's get var equals, what's it called? It's called it response. I mean, as I say, it's just like a template, so you can change these all yourselves. Then that should work. Yeah. So that's a good start for you. Now, what else there is as well, which is quite useful, because just in case you won't be expected to remember all of this lot. Click down at the bottom. There's an option that says Insert API Template. Yeah. Now this kind of just gives you like just a template for you to like base your calls around. So it has all the basics in there, like the URL, what method you use in the various queries. It's also got extra things in which we'll cover in the next session, which is about like response code, so you can check whether the API is being called back correctly, and also some of them need this header as well to make sure it's coming from a valid source. But we'll cover like these bits and bobs in the next session. So that's API Builder. How you can keep your API keys safe. So I hope you find that useful. Okay, see you in the next session.